This is a great challenge this week. Chance to take our team on the road and go against a really good opponent and a great environment. And I've got a ton of respect for Brent and his program, and obviously the history and tradition at Virginia Tech. And to be a part of that atmosphere is going to be, it's just a great opportunity for us. But this is a good team we're playing against. A team that we're familiar with from a year ago, but also has a bunch of new parts and pieces that is going to take our focus and preparation, but also our adjustment as we get there, and see the second iteration of a new offense, a new defense, and a bunch of new personnel. So we're excited. The team's excited, and with that, I'm happy to open up for questions.
How do you feel Virginia Tech's different than when you saw them a year ago?
I think they're different in a lot of ways. I think schematically they're different, offense and defense, and they have different people. Obviously they return certain significant players, and one of those is Kyron Drones, who's a really good player and good competitor and presents a lot of challenges defensively. But they have a lot of new parts and pieces, and so not only are the tactics, new, the people that are executing them are new, and they're gonna again present challenges that we're gonna need to prepare for, but also be ready to adjust and adapt, because this is game 2, and they're gonna have some wrinkles that they didn't show last week that we'll need to be prepared for.
What do you think of sort of Kyron Drones, and maybe how can you prepare your defense for a quarterback like him?
Well, he's kind of the total package. I mean, he's got arm strength, and he's big, physical runner, fast. I've got a ton of respect for him and what he brings to the table as a competitor, and he's a winner and a fighter. But we're going to need to be on point with respect to the one-on-one shots. I think he throws that ball really well. You see kind of the two main ways that they are moving the ball is getting the ball up and over top of press corners and catch and run plays, and they've got skilled athletes he's throwing the ball to. But I think he's as good as I've seen throwing that contested one-on-one ball on the sideline. I think he does a great job of that, so we're gonna have to be conscious of that. And then what he can do escaping the pocket and creating with his legs too, in critical situations, short yardage plays, or in the red zone, we can expect him to be carrying the ball. And if we're not, on point with executing on our side of things, that he can really do some damage there. So he's a tough player to prepare for, and he's going to force us to be detailed in our execution on Saturday. And again, that's the challenge, and that's where we got to put our attention this week in preparation.
Their defensive line seems to really stand out against a good SEC opponent. What do you think of their D line? What challenges are they going to provide?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about them already in the programming. This is a twitchy and athletic front. It's not necessarily they're lining up just with the size maybe that we see, but it's the combination of speed, strength, and twitch. That if you're not beating them to the punch, they can collapse the pocket. Obviously, their initial movement and their initial quickness creates problems. If you're top heavy or you're lumbering off the ball, this is going to be a great challenge to our offensive line. We talked about that this morning, introducing the opponent. We're going to really have to play well up front, and find opportunities to move the ball in the run game, and hopefully grind out some clock and some possession time. But we gotta create clean pockets. We gotta create space in the run game, and they make that really challenging. And their defense starts with that front. And I mean, I feel like every Virginia Tech team I've ever competed against has had those kind of disruptive players, and that's what they are. They're kind of havoc creators, and they'll beat you off the ball with their quickness, their initial movement. They're powerful, and so if they get their hands on you early, they're going to find their way to the quarterback in the pocket. They can be really disruptive in the run game and tackle the ball in the backfield. So it is a challenge, but again, that's where our focus is in preparation, and we're going to do the best we can to give a look at what it'll feel like, but we're going to have to adjust and adapt as the game goes too.
Getting consistent playmaking outside of Diego and Eli, do you feel like last week was a good start for you in that department? Like Trey had 5 catches and now going against an ACC team?
Yeah, we need to support Diego as the quarterback. We need to protect him in the way we block for him. We need to surround him with weapons, which I think we have, and he's done a nice job of finding those. We talked about the penalties coming out of the game on Saturday. We talked about them as a team on Sunday. I think on the whole, we had a kind of that lost focus, the fundamental technical focus I talked about right there around the half. But for how we play on offense, that was a pretty efficient game. We're not gonna be up tempo, and it's not for us about blowing up the scoreboard. It's about maintaining possession of the ball. It's about sustaining drives. And again, when we were penalty free, we did that and finished in the end zone on the whole. So I think it was a good start. Obviously, the stakes only get higher and the competition gets better. And again, this one in particular is going to be very challenging to us because you're going to battle a really good team and an athletic team who obviously I think has had a focus on this game from a year ago. Also coming off a tough loss to start the season. They're going to be excited to get back home and to have another swing at an SEC team. And we're playing in an environment that's not going to be, it's going to be hostile. So we're going to have to manage that well too. So a lot of factors there that we need to work through in preparation so that our focus can be on us when we go play. And in the end, all of it will respond to our focus, our execution, how hard we play, meaning, you can get swallowed up in those environments, but eventually, right, the game settles into the game. And as long as you are focused and you're executing and you're putting pressure on the opponent, you're going to give yourself a chance to win no matter where the ball's put down. For us, success offensively will be about how we play up front. And as you say, how we get the ball to the playmakers that surround Diego to give us the best chance to put the ball in his hands at the end of the game to win it. That's what we want to do.
Is Elon Amatara gonna play this week?
He is. He practiced today, and I say he is. He's back in practice. He's feeling better. He's listed right now as probable for the game. I think barring setbacks, he'll be out there and rolling, and we'll update you as the week goes, but right now we're counting on him being out there, and I'm excited for him to be back out there.
Are there any limitations with Cole Spence after he hurt the knee on that one?
Yep, so right now both Cole and Junior are listed as questionable, and I think both have progressed from Saturday, so I'm encouraged with where they are, but we trained them on the side today, just trying to get to a point of them feeling good and stable, and so hopefully as the week goes we'll get them back out, get them in the mix. I'm encouraged, so my expectation is that right now as we get to Saturday that those guys are going to be out there with us. We'll have to see how they progress as the week goes.
What was Junior's injury?
I don't want to get specific, but he took a hit on his leg, and there's nothing that is nothing surgical, nothing that is necessarily going to be long term, kind of week to week right now, and to be honest with you, really day to day. Again, we're going to track that and see how it responds. They're both recovering from the same thing.
You brought up the challenge of the personnel changing for Virginia Tech. Is that just what it is now in college football because of NIL and everything?
Yeah, it is. There's I think in some ways we've obviously went through this a year ago in this program, and in similar ways, we felt like we came out of December 23 into January 24 an improved team, because the attrition gave us opportunity to bring in new people, and those new people created a a focus and you know, a mission focus here and an appreciation here of what Vanderbilt football is all about, and it led to improved performance on the field. Virginia Tech is going through the same process. So, yes, it's the challenge now of college football. Yeah, I think what we've been able to do, stabilizing certain aspects of retention and, you know, bringing back production is not necessarily, we don't take that for granted, you know, and so week to week, you're gonna have to learn the new parts and pieces as you go. That is what it is. I think they've done a nice job of positioning themselves for success this season, and that'll challenge us this weekend.
Could you just contextualize how difficult of an environment that's going to be to play in?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's similar to the SEC environments. So we don't, you know, this is just a part of playing in our league. You know, I've had the good fortune of coaching in Blacksburg before, and I say good fortune. It's just this is a neat, you know, college football fan base, a neat experience. You know, I talked to the team this morning. I mean, this is why doing this at this level is so much fun. You know, you're gonna have a full stadium of people that really care about what's going on. What we have to be super clear on is not one of those 70,000 people is actually playing in the game. So our focus needs to be on that field, and that'll be the challenge. And if we can focus on the field, we can impact the environment. If we're focused on the environment, we're gonna lose the ability to impact it, and we'll get swallowed up by it. I mean, that is what these places do. So, but this is a special one, and we're going to look forward to all of it. And then by the time the ball's on the tee, we're going to be focused on what we need to do down in, down out to win. And when you talk about environmental factors, you're going to talk about momentum swings, you're going to talk about noise, you're going to talk about the emotions of the game. That's where we have to stay contained within ourselves. So belong to ourselves so we can belong to something bigger than ourselves. Everyone doing their job, communicating to connect all 11 players on the field. Now you have a chance to be successful. If you're not doing that, you all of a sudden allow that stadium, that crowd to become factors in performance. And now, you know, you're not just battling the 11 guys on the field, but you've allowed that 70,000 to get involved too. And we got to be better than that. And that is the challenge, but that is going to be what we're working on through the week.
Carolina kind of wore them down in the second half of that game. You've got depth on your defensive line this year. You feel like that can be something you can take advantage of in the second half of this one?
You know, obviously, I think any team's goal would be to wear down the opponent. I think they're not going to make that easy on us. You know, my concern right now is that when the ball's put down, that we're focused and ready to play the game on the field, you know, and not play the game. We don't want to chase this one down, you know, and I think that again, this environment is one where you can look up pretty quickly and have given up a couple scores and punted the ball a couple times, and next thing you know, you're chasing it. So before we get to the second half, I'm going to have these guys focus on the first half. And we're going to do the best we can in that first quarter to try to, you know, get back to somewhere in the environmental realm of neutral, you know, so we can actually play the game we want to play. And if we can do that, sure, you know, as we get in the second half, body blows accumulate, but you're not getting to that if you're not ready out of the gate.
Anything else for Coach? Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.